What's going on, y'all? This is DJ Neil Armstrong, Almighty Fit Platoon, Jay-Z's tour DJ. Y'all are hanging with Ignantwitted.com. Peace.
The whole world see it, but you can't. Got me like a dog as I pause and pant.
Picture me messing it up.
Schoolboy crushing it, ain't on the hustle.
Shit.
What was I like when I was younger? I was a dork. I was a geek, straight up and down, which is cool. Like, I think people who are creative, who are extremely creative or really like to do that stuff often are somehow socially awkward. That tends to be the tendency. But fortunately, I was into education. I am Asian, you know. I'm good at math. I was at one point. And I actually have a degree in chemical engineering, so...
I actually heard that you went to Bronx Science, which we're alumni too.
That's right.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Science.
Just so you know.
Actually, I went to Bronx Science back in from 88 to 92, so if you can imagine that is universally accepted as the golden era of hip-hop. In 88, that's when De La Soul came out, Public Enemy, Slick Rick. And by the time I was done with school, Scenario had come out, Leaders of the New School, Busta Rhymes, like the Tribe albums, all that. So I was in high school during that time period, and I think usually what happens with everyone is the music you listen to in high school that's what you carry for the rest of your life, and that's definitely the formative years of why I ended up doing what I do. I think if you ask my buddies who I went to school with, I always had like the bootleg pirate radio, whoever was playing at the time. I'd be the one recording it 2 a.m. Yeah. If there was a hip hop show we'd try to hit up, I'd be the dude who would until the end try to be in the front row. Everybody goes, I can't take it anymore. They'd be in the back. I'd be all the way up front, still acting like a madman. And I got to see a lot of cool stuff that most people don't. I think, especially in our culture, and by the culture now, like the street world culture and even the DJ music culture, there's a lot of people around who are part of it, but you don't live it the same way unless you're in New York. So you can hear about stuff, but I got to see like really crazy stuff when I growing up. One of my first shows ever. So the headliners were Farside.
Oh, wow.
But the opening act was Biggie Smalls, who performed one song, Party and Bullshit. And on stage with Biggie was Tupac. You know, back. And so he wasn't even, this was before One More Chance came out. This was before all that. The only song that was really out was Party and Bullshit. And I got to see that. Like, I'm not reading about it. I got to see it. They would always do this skit where that part when, just like in the movie, they would do that. Except they wouldn't do it on stage. They would do it in the crowd.
Oh shit, that's
so
dope, man.
Like you'd be standing there and like a fight would break out, and then just like they did it in the movie. So I got to see a lot of stuff like that you know, other people would just read about. There's a scene in the Scenario video where they filmed at the old Palladium in New York, it's really crazy. It's a NYU dorm now, and the NYU dorm is called the Palladium. But it was a club. That was a club spot, and the footage that they used for the Scenario video, I was in that crowd watching the show.
You're just part of hip hop history, like even like as a fan.
Oh yeah, no. First and foremost, I'm a fan. Right, always. I take pride in that. Like you'll still see me at a underground hip hop show. I mean, we were at Ill Minds thing last night. Cause whatever, all this like the bright light stuff is whatever. I didn't get into it for that. I got into it because I like music.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I'll always like really remember that time is like a crazy time, and the people who've made it past a certain point. Like Mos Def was still part of UTDs back then, and he used to be around all the time. All the Rocksteady shows we've done, you know, running around the country with the Fit Platoon DJs. like when we weren't really making money, is the time that was probably the most formative for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
My job in the 5th Platoon, like I would always say this, and you know, it's not meant for. It's meant to be funny mostly. Like, if you know, like 5th Platoon was a unit of DJs, and if we were like the Wu-Tang Clan, I'd be like the U God, right? Like everyone else was really, you know, we had Rolly Roll, Cotton Candy, Vin Rock, Doughboy. They were all like either had won a lot of battles or whatever. I never won a battle at all, like not one, not one with that had a title.
Yeah.
Which is funny because the way a lot of people remember me is from that era, but it was more my association with the 5th Platoon that allowed my brand to rise. Not that I wasn't good, but I was running with a bunch of champions.
Right.
So my role in the crew was more like I was like the glue. If I wasn't around, just like even to this day, I'm still the person who builds and maintains the website. I did all the bookings and all that type of stuff.
Funniest moments on your shows as a unit, 5th Platoon.
Oh, funniest?
Yeah.
Like during a show or after?
Whatever you.
Well, I'll tell you some. All right, we all had to leave early in the morning. We had flights at maybe like 5 or 6:30, and we broke night. So we get to the hotel. One of us has an earlier flight than the rest of us. His name's Merge. Merge is like, yo, I gotta go. But Dog's like, Daddy Dog is like, yo, I gotta go to the bathroom. So he goes in, and we're like, all right, take 5 minutes. Time goes, it's like 30 minutes. So Merge is like, yo, I need to go. I'm gonna miss my plane. Finally, he opens a door, and at this time, Merge had been a new member. He had only been part of the 5th Platoon for like 2 years, so he didn't really know how crazy Daddy Dog was. Daddy Dog opens a door, and he's like butt naked, and Merge is like, why are you naked? And he jumps into the tub. Yeah. Like the tub is full, the water's going, the shower's going. We hear the shower. He just slinks back into the shower and lies down in the thing. So basically what happened was this. He went to throw up, and he started throwing up in the toilet. Throwing up. Then he had to take a shit. Yeah. So he turns around to pull his pants down. But when he pulls his pants down, he throws up into his pants.
Wow.
So now he's like, yo, what am I going to do? So he takes his pants off, throws everything into the shower, starts filling it up, and he's trying to go in the shower, but he can't stand. Yeah. So he just lies down in the shower. And this is like a normal thing with Daddy Dog. Like something like this would always happen, but that was like a highlight. We ended up, I forced him. I was like, yo, you can't miss this flight. Dragged him to the airport. Yeah. He threw up in the airport, like not even at the side, like kind of like right in the middle. Like, just a mess. That's a lesson, y'all. Stay away from drugs. But yeah, that was fun though, man. Yeah. Definitely hanging out with those guys was a fun time. And like I said, like when money isn't involved, like I swear, like you do everything you do is because you love it.
Right.
And it was definitely like that. And I'll always like really look fondly on that time. The thing about that turntables community is like we were very much all like family. The X-Men, Invisible Scratch Pickles. At the time we were like kind of in the mix. I always describe the 5th Platoon as like the middle child, because like on one end we had like the X-Men and the Beat Junkies. On the other end we had like the Allies and whoever else was coming up, and we were like right there in the middle. So my crew has battled everyone from Total Eclipse to Craze to the Scratch Perverts. Like my crew has battled everyone all the way up to Merge battling the new kids. So no one else could say that. Like the X-Men stopped battling, the Invisible Scratch Perverts stopped battling at a certain point. We kept going in both directions. But I don't know, that day is kind of done, especially for me. Like I've definitely moved on to other things, mostly the mixtape stuff. When I do the hip hop stuff though, I try to incorporate as much of that aspect as possible.